The Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine has been approved for emergency use in the UK. This is our top focus story on coronavirus facts versus myths. The Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine has been approved for emergency use in the UK, with the first doses being released today so that vaccinations may begin early in the new year. This is the UK's second vaccine to be approved after the Pfizer vaccine was given the regulator's nod. The vaccine is expected to be relied on in many countries. This is good news not just for the UK but for the rest of the world as well, because it is a low-cost vaccine and it will be easy to use, also be easily available. It can be kept in refrigerators rather than ultra-cold storage conditions of the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine. The company has said that the vaccine will sell for around $2.5 a dose, and it plans to make 3 billion doses available by 2021. The MHRA in the UK has provided authorization for emergency supply of this vaccine for immunization of individuals 18 years and older. The authorization has recommended 2 doses administered within an interval of between 4 and 12 weeks. So that's all that you need to know about the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. But to talk more about this big story, we're being joined by Professor Jeffrey Smith. He's the head of Department Pathology from the University of Cambridge. We also have Dr. Shahid Jamil. He's a virologist and CEO from the Wellcome Trust India Alliance. Thank you both very much for being with us. Professor Jeffrey, I want to begin by asking you, this is good news at a time when the mutant strain has been a huge cause of concern, especially in the UK.
Well, good morning, and first, thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of NDTV. I'm very happy to be here today and also to join the program with my friend Shahid Jamal. So, Shahid, good morning, and I hope you are well. So now, turning to the good news this morning, yes, it is excellent news that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine has been given approval for emergency use in UK. And I'm sure that this will accelerate the rate at which people can be vaccinated. And it is ultimately vaccination which is going to bring this pandemic to an end. So in UK, there are 100 million doses of this vaccine already ordered. And it will provide a much needed acceleration in the vaccination of our citizens. And of course, this is not just for the benefit of UK, it will be used in many countries around the world, including India. And so it really is very good news indeed.
Right. You know, we'll come down to the specifics in just a bit, but Dr. Jamil, do you want to, put this development in context for our viewers here in India at the moment? The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is a front runner for India as well. It's been manufactured at the Serum Institute of India. So, how should we be looking at this news? Should we now be optimistic of seeing the vaccine being approved here soon as well?
Well, thank you for having me on the program, and good morning, Jeff. I can't see you, but wonderful to be on the program with you. Yes, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is one of the major vaccines in India. As you're aware, Serum Institute of India is manufacturing that vaccine. And I read somewhere recently that they already have I think 50 million doses of the vaccine ready to roll out even before the vaccine has been approved in India. So it's very good news. And this vaccine is going to be, as you said in your program, both affordable as well as easy to deliver in terms of the cold chain. So overall, very good news. And we hope that the Indian regulator will also look at it favorably and approve it in the coming days or weeks.
All right. So, ray of hope for us here in India as well in terms of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine being approved. Professor Jeffrey Smith, if I can come back to you at the moment, there has been a little bit of back and forth as far as the efficacy results of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is concerned. Where does it stand finally? Because AstraZeneca claimed, just a short while ago that the vaccine is actually at par with Pfizer and Moderna.
Well, I think the data that support the efficacy claims will be presented, and I'm sure that will have been considered by the regulatory authorities in UK before they gave permission for the vaccine to be rolled out. you're right that there was a range of efficacies given originally, and that depended on how the vaccine was given and the doses that were given. But with that knowledge, then they can now roll out the vaccine using the most effective immunization scheme. And I'm confident this will give a very good degree of protection that will help control this pandemic. And as Shahid said, the important thing about this is that it doesn't require such a cold chain. It doesn't require the vaccine to be stored in minus 70 degree refrigerators. It can be stored just at 4 degrees in a normal refrigerator for some period. And that will be a huge administrative advantage in rolling the vaccine out widely.
Right. The other big development, of course, and this is something that is worrying for here in India as well, Dr. Jamil, is the new mutant strain of the coronavirus, which is rapidly spreading different countries of the world. India too is now, reporting 20 cases of the mutant strain. So the big question is whether the current vaccine candidates in their current form will be effective against the new strain. The government yesterday clarified that there is no reason to believe otherwise.
Yes, and I believe so too. There's actually some result that has come out, unpublished result, which has come out from a lab at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, which shows that the sera from people who have recovered from natural infection is able to neutralize both mutants at the 501 position, which is really the thing to be concerned about, as that falls in the receptor binding domain. So this gives us early hope that the vaccine that is being made right now and being rolled out around the world will also work for the new variant strains. WHO, I believe, is doing some detailed studies to ascertain that. But we must remember two things. One is that mutation is something that is very normal for a virus.
Yes.
And the more selection pressure you put on a virus, more mutation will happen, to a certain point, of course. And the second point is that any vaccine response is a polyclonal response, which means that it is not directed to just one part of the virus. It is directed to multiple parts of the virus, in this case, multiple parts of the spike protein. So I have no doubt that the vaccines that are being rolled out now are going to be effective against this variant as well.
Professor Jeffrey Smith, how important is this announcement for the UK, given the fact that you're seeing an unprecedented rise in cases from 41,000 cases, it's gone up to 53,000 cases, and 80% of the new cases that are being reported is this rapidly spreading mutant strain of the coronavirus. So how important is this announcement in the light of that?
Well, it's a very good timing indeed. But of course, it's going to still be many weeks and months before enough people can be immunized to really provide protection for the community against this virus. And so it's very important that in the meantime, everybody maintains the basic control mechanisms of wearing a face mask, having social distancing, and washing one's hands regularly. And it's often the case that during pandemics, individual citizens feel really unable to contribute in any way and feel rather helpless. But in this situation, everybody is empowered to help, because if everybody does those three simple things, it will drive down the number of new infections, and that alone will help to control this epidemic until we can roll out vaccination very widely. And of course, this is true for every nation. It's true for my nation in the UK, and it's true for India as well. So everybody should feel engaged and can help by adhering as best they can to those three basic public health control measures.
All right.
Just going back to the change in the new variant, it is true that this new variant is spreading more rapidly.
Yes.
And of course, that is a concern. But there hasn't been any corresponding change in the ability of the virus to cause disease.
Right.
So it is not more dangerous in that when somebody is infected, they're going to do worse. That does not seem to have changed. It's transmission and the ability to transmit to new hosts that is the cause for the concern.
All right. Professor Jeffrey Smith, before we let you go, I want to ask you, a lot of our viewers have asked a question on how do you determine which vaccine is better for you? Given the fact that in the UK now you have 2 vaccines that have been approved, the Pfizer as well as the Oxford vaccine, how do people decide which one is better for them?
Well, Rashika, if I had the choice, I would take the very first one that I was offered. And I think everybody should do the same. If they all work, it doesn't matter. And we are going to have many more vaccines coming online during this year. There are many in clinical trials. And I'm sure that there will be a great variety of vaccines available by the middle or later part of this year. And I encourage everybody to take them. Vaccinations really work. They will stop this disease. And I'm sure that if we all do that, we'll come out of these dark December days at the end of 2020 into a joyous and sunlit spring in 2021.
All right.
And so 2021 really is going to be a turning point for this pandemic.
All right. Well, 2021, will it be the turning point that we're all waiting for? And like Professor Jeffrey just said, that the dark December is finally seeing some glimmer of hope. There is the vaccine of the world, the easy to use, the easily available, the cheaper vaccine, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine that has been approved for emergency use in the UK. This is good news, not just for India, but for a lot of other countries in the world that have serious logistical challenges with some of the other vaccine candidates. Thanks so much, Professor Smith, for joining us. We're going to slip into a very short break. Dr. Shahid Jamil, and we'll be joined by other experts to talk about what this news means specifically for India. We'll also look at the rapidly spreading mutant coronavirus and what's being done to stop it. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's been a day of many developments with the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine being approved in the UK. What does this news mean for us here in India, given that this is a vaccine that is being manufactured by the Serum Institute? It is the front runner for a COVID-19 vaccine in India as well. It is easy to use, administer as well as store. Also, this news is coming at a time when the mutant strain, the rapidly spreading UK variant of the coronavirus, is spreading rapidly in different parts of the world, 20 cases being confirmed here in India as well. Well, Dr. Shahid Jamil continues to be with us. We're also being joined by Dr. Sumit Ray, the head of Department Critical Care Medicine at the Holy Family Hospital. Thank you both very much. Dr. Jamil, if I can begin once again by asking you, let's specifically look at this news, from an India context. You did say earlier that this is good news for India because it will propel the vaccine to be approved here as well. But given the fact that we're worried about this mutant strain spreading so rapidly, what does this news really mean, and how quickly does India need to approve this vaccine for emergency use?
Well, I would say that the Indian regulator will look carefully at the data that's coming in from the trial, and just because a new variant is there which is known to spread fast, is not really going to be the main reason for approving a vaccine. The main reason for approving a vaccine would be its safety and its efficacy. Yes, a vaccine has to be used to stop the pandemic, but right now I don't think it's very important to use this variant strain to really force a vaccine. And I'm sure the Indian regulator will look at all these conditions and then approve what is safe and what is effective for the population.
Right. Dr. Sumit Ray, do you want to, weigh in? It's good news for India that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine has been granted emergency use authorization in the UK, isn't it?
I could not agree more with Dr. Jamil, because we should not rush in a vaccine. We should look at the data, and also my feeling is that this data should also be made public, And experts like Dr. Jamil should be looking at the data and see how effective and what are the side effects and the adverse events that have happened. Not use the excuse of a new variant to rush in a vaccine and its safety without checking its safety profile. Having said that, the new variant is, as Dr. Jamil said, more infective, but there is no evidence to prove that it is more dangerous, that it does not cause more severe version of the disease. And probably Dr. Jamil, who's a virologist, would maybe agree with me that usually in the principles of virology, whatever I know of, is that usually those viruses which become more infective after mutation tend to, I won't say that it's necessary for the SARS-CoV virus too, but usually become less dangerous in terms of mortality or the severity of illness.
Right.
Usually that's the principle.
But Dr. Jamil, isn't the biggest fear at the moment, burdening of the healthcare system? We are seeing it in the UK already. There's been a huge spike in new number of cases, which corresponds to more number of people, entering hospitals. We are seeing the NHS in the UK, for instance, stretched out thin because of this new strain. Do you fear that, if India isn't quick to control the spread of the new strain, we'll see troubled times ahead as well?
Well, first of all, let me say that Dr. Sumit's understanding of virology is very good. And what he said is exactly right.
Right.
To some extent, viruses that mutate to spread more quickly lose what we call viral fitness or their virulence. But that's an academic discussion. Coming to what India should do, yes, India should be aware that a new variant is spreading.
Right.
But there is policy makers can make policy, and they should make policy based on evidence. Whereas the rest of us, it's incumbent upon us to do everything possible to limit the spread.
Right.
And I could not have said it better than what Jeffrey Smith said earlier on your show, that all of us need to be wearing masks, all of us need to be maintaining a distance, and not unnecessarily putting ourselves at risk. Because remember,
yes,
avoiding infection is not just going to be personal good, it's also going to be social good. So I think we need to, each one of us are responsible for doing this, and we must do that.
Right. Dr. Ray, do you want to weigh in here? The new mutant virus is a cause of concern because it has the potential to, once again overburden the healthcare system. We're already seeing it happen in the UK. Is that something that you fear?
Yes, of course, Rishika, in the sense, as we have seen in other countries too, and in our country in different phases, like a phase in Delhi in October and November, if the healthcare systems, the hospitals and the healthcare systems get overwhelmed with the number of infections, that itself, even without a higher virulence, does cause a higher morbidity and mortality. Because if we are not able to attend to the patients who are getting a more moderate or severe disease, then the outcomes will be worse in spite of the virulence not being high. And I could not agree more with you and Dr. Jamil and Christopher. So it is very important. I mean, the importance of physical distancing, mask wearing, and hand washing doesn't reduce. But also, as you said, policymakers have to keep a watch on this and see to it that the spread does not increase. And wherever there are surges, if there is a need to have isolated, whatever you call it, curfews or a small area lockdowns may be necessary to reduce the spread of the disease and reduce the overwhelming of the healthcare system.
All right. So it's very important advice to all viewers watching this broadcast that you have to maintain social distancing, wear your mask, wash your hands, especially when you know that there is a rapidly spreading strain of the coronavirus. There's good news in terms of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, but we're miles away from still being given the vaccine, at least to the healthy individuals here in India. Thank you both very much for joining us with your point of view.